Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Tennessee Twos Disc Golf Podcast. My name is Daniel Bacon. Across from me is my co host, Ethan Jenkins. And yeah, what a weekend we had. I mean, so many things to talk about. I mean, two Daniels dramas this week. How often do we get to see something like that happen? All
Right.
right. We're, we're going to have a lot of fun with it. I'm going to tell you what. If you guys are listening to this post produced on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your audio podcasts, just so you know, we are live on Facebook every Tuesday night, Tennessee Tuesday. Feel free to join us. We always have our chat rolling. We'd love to have you in here commenting, giving us your opinions, asking questions, whatever you guys would feel like, inputting. And we love to hear from you guys. If not, please feel free to drop a rating on our podcast. It helps us out more than you can even possibly imagine. And it's 100% free to do so. And with that, I think we're just gonna hop right into it. Um, Big news of the week, obviously, Champions Cup has crowned
Absolutely.
multiple winners. Um, but before we jump into that, Daniel's drama. We had two of them this week. One of them happened before the tournament started, so we really wanted to talk about that because it might have played a factor into the tournament and how it played out. There were some players who kind of spoke out about this and really were confused about this. And I got to say, I'm a little bit confused about it as well, but I've got maybe a little bit of a different look compared to what some people might be saying. But essentially, what we're talking about now is the rule that you cannot move stuff out of your way that's outside of your standard lie. And what that means basically is that under the old way that the rule was interpreted, that you could move anything out as long as it was in your run up and it was behind your lie, it didn't really matter, dead and unattached, as long as it wasn't a part of the course that was intended to be there. Right?
Correct.
Now, under the new rule, basically is it has to be within your stance area. So if you're going to take your natural stance or the stance that you would need to throw from your lie, you can move anything out from behind your lie in that situation, but you cannot move stuff out in a run up situation. It has to be within your standard stance area. And there were a lot of players who had some interesting complaints about this. I definitely have a couple of tweets I wanted to read and just hear what some players were talking about. I don't want to put anybody on blast. I'm not, disagreeing or agreeing with anybody, but I do want to talk about, what some players were saying. Um, Andrew Presnell had even tweeted about hot disc golf topic in the past week or two has been the rule change of no longer being able to clear debris from a player's run up. At the Champions Cup players meeting, PDGA addressed this issue and said, if there's a safety concern, just throw a standstill. And he followed that up at the end of the tweet with seriously question mark. And then he posted a video of a former throw that he had made in a past tournament about, cleaning up some of his run up area and saying this is now illegal. And this has been a pretty hot topic. And just give me your thoughts before I go into my thoughts.
Um, I I mean, I think this is what they intended the rule to be originally. They just didn't state it correctly. Um, Basically, they're just wanting to punish people that are off of the fairway in the rough. So, they're like, if you don't think you can do a run up, do a standstill. I think it's more of a way for PDGA to create their own scoring separation. Um, that's kind of where my mindset went with it. Do I like it? No. Do I hate it? No. It doesn't affect me. You know what I mean? So I
Right.
haven't had to see it until this weekend though, where people they were kind of making fun of it, you know? Um like you see I don't know if you've seen, but a couple of times Greg Barsby, every time he went up to his lie, he would go like behind it like this.
making
And
making sure he was within his area,
yes, and then he would kick it out of the way. And then Casey White, I don't know if you've seen this either, but he laid down on his stomach backwards and did a snow angel. So
Oh my
so
gosh.
the players doing that kind of made it awkward but funny. It's like pros shouldn't have to do that. they shouldn't have to. Um,
Right.
but at the same time, it was kind of entertaining. So you know, I take what you will with it and run with it.
Yeah. Look, and the biggest complaint and argument that most people replied to that tweet or in their own tweets or subtweets or subreddits, wherever you got your information when it came to this was the PDGA doesn't care. Like, this is just going to create more injuries. They don't care if anybody gets hurt out there, this, that, the other, blah, 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 blah. And I kind of agree with the idea. Like, I don't like the idea of intentionally having a rule there that's going to encourage injury. It's
Hmm.
generally not a good thing. I mean, when we could get out to the course and we have tee pads that are iffy and we have a card agreement that we can tee from one side or the other and the tournament's okay with that and the TD's okay with that, that's fine. I don't see how this is really any different. I mean, when you're talking about what should be what you should be able to do on or off of the course, like it's just it's one of those things where I don't think they're trying to make people get hurt, but I don't understand why this rule needs to be there. Now, I'm of the point of view that they're not at this point trying to create injury or, trying to prevent people from disturbing the course in unnecessary ways. I think that they're just trying to make the game harder.
I do
This is
too.
one of the little steps that I think that they've tried to take to reduce scores on the course. You have to go up there and you can't clear out your running area, so throw a standstill. Guess what? A standstill is a lot harder when you have to talk about the distance that some of these players need to get on these levels of courses and then hit accurate lines doing it
Yep.
at full power. I mean, I don't even know what else to say. So I
But
think that's what it is.
it, it brings in more parity too with that though. I feel
Right.
like because like look at someone like Conrad. For instance, I'm just gonna pull
Yeah.
him out. It doesn't matter if it's 80 feet. He's doing a run up because that's what he does. You know.
Right.
So for some people, it would detrimentally affect their game. For someone like Corey Ellis, who can throw 400 feet standstills,
Yeah.
um, he's like, do it, please do it. You know what I mean? Because that gives him a leg up.
Yeah.
And it's also another one of those things is like the way that the rule is now with them being able to stretch however far they can stretch their legs, and create their stance, um, is what they can clear. If someone is like Emerson Keith, he's at a
That's a very
disadvantage. You know what I mean? It's just, and
if
then
you're Gannon Burr,
or Scott
you're at a
Stokely, exactly.
massive advantage there. You just stick out your leg as far as you can. That's already an
More
extra
than
2 feet
likely,
on
they can
Emerson
reach the
Keith.
next person in line that's up the fairway. So it's like, I got you, bud. Don't worry. Let me be your windshield wiper.
Yeah. Overall, I don't think it's a good rule, but I don't think it's the worst rule.
Yeah,
I kind of understand. I think I know what they're going for. And a lot of people are complaining about the injuries, but in essence, they're trying to make the game harder, which is something that we've all talked about. The game, especially on the MPO side, the game kind of needs to be a little bit harder. We shouldn't be seeing people go out there and consistently throw 10, 15 down rounds on these types of courses. The kind of goal when you watch like the Masters a couple weekends ago in actual golf, some of the best rounds were 4 down.
hmm,
You know what I mean? They're just trying to make the game harder, and I understand it. I don't know that it's the best way to go about it, but it is what it is. I don't see the rule being hyper changed quickly. I don't think there's going to be anything that changes through this season. I think it's going
I
to be
don't
something
either.
that'll.
I think
I
some.
don't.
I think that it's something that players will just get used to. I truly do think so. I think it'll be one of those things that, like the Mando rule, it's like,
Yep.
okay, this is dumb, this is dumb, this is dumb, but you're still gonna play with it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
eh.
we'll see if the players put up enough of a fight at the end of this season to get rid of that rule. But honestly, I think it's here to stay.
And who's gonna be the first person that calls somebody on it?
I don't know, but I can tell you something. Being the first person to call somebody on a rule is the second Daniels drama. But we're gonna recap the tournament before we get to that one.
All right,
So
sounds
as
like a
for this
plan.
rule, I think it's interesting. I don't know how much it really affected this tournament, but I'm sure it had an effect on this tournament when they went into their players meeting and asked about it and got a final official just do it this way, you know?
Right.
So I'm sure it had an effect on this tournament, especially on a course like this. So for anybody who might have missed it so far and wants to hold the integrity of not knowing what happened, click off now. I'm giving you 3 seconds. Otherwise, we're spoiling Champions Cup for you. Sorry, not sorry.
Uno, dos, tres, hit him.
Get it. Give me the breakdown.
All right. Well, starting off with MPO, you had Mr. Robot Chicken himself, as you've seen in the title, um, taking down the Champions Cup from behind, might I add. He played some of the best golf that I've seen in a while. Um, him fighting back and chasing down Rick was actually really exciting to me. I heard a lot of people say that it's not exciting watching Chris on lead card, and I don't
I don't
understand.
get it.
I don't get it. I don't
I
understand
don't
why.
understand that. I
Um,
had a great time.
I did too. I loved every second of it. But yeah, Robot Chicken was in full swing. He was carving fairways, you know. We ended up having a lot of interesting names up towards the top, which
A ton.
um this was awesome to see because you kind of get that competitive edge out of people when it's a major, right? You
Right.
start, they know it's for something, they train really hard for this one thing, and it means more. So to me, going into this major, it didn't really feel like a major yet, other than the course. After I seen the field play the way that they played, it felt like a major.
Yeah. Oh,
It did.
100%.
Um, but yeah, we had Chris taken down first, had Ricky and Calvin tied, correct, for second?
No, Ricky beat out for second by one
Oh,
stroke.
by one stroke. Okay, I didn't know.
So they were
Okay,
solo second and solo third.
all right. Yeah. So we had Chris, Ricky, then Calvin, um, and then we also
Corey Ellis.
had my dark horse pick from last week.
This close to hitting that podium, man.
He really was. He played some
So
great disc golf,
close.
man.
And he played consistently all the way through.
Yeah,
It
he
was
did.
beautiful disc golf the whole week, and I was really impressed with what he did out there and that he was able to do that for basically 4 rounds straight,
Yeah.
which is kind of been one of the digs on him is, he's one of the best putters in the entire game, hands down.
Yep.
But how consistently can he get off of the tee? And when he doesn't get off the tee well, can he scramble out of it? And that was some stuff that we saw out of him this week that was really impressive.
Yep. And we also had in fifth place several people.
Yeah.
We had a four-way tie for fifth. Gannon Burr, Emerson Keith, Matty O, and Gavin Babcock, who snuck onto the lead card for the final round. And this man's step putt is impressive. I like his step
Honestly, there
putt.
was a lot of parts of his game that were really impressive.
He
I
was
mean,
very smooth, very consistent. He reminded me of a taller Mason Ford, if I'm being honest, like the way that he approached his lies and approached like
yeah,
his uh preparation for the throw. Um Seemed a lot like Mason Ford to me, or a Bradley Williams style. But yeah, I was actually really enjoying watching him. He was able to hang in there with them. You know what I mean? He played a really good final round with all those cameras and everything on him. I don't think you could have asked him to
yeah,
do much better. A 7 down is very respectable at that course, especially on lead card.
yeah. Especially, I mean, one of his like first. I want to say that's his first experience on lead card with all those cameras at a major.
It is.
I don't know if it's his first lead card with cameras, but definitely at a major, that was his first time around, and
It
that just
was
made the pressure that much higher.
it was
And he went out
supposedly
there.
his first lead card ever with cameras. He has only won 6 events before and they were all C tiers.
I mean,
So,
composure.
yeah.
What else can you say? The composure that he had,
Nah,
and to
he's
go out
gonna
there and put 100% from circle 1X.
yeah.
I, It
Yeah,
doesn't get better than that. It literally doesn't get better than that.
yeah, no, he was good, and he was really good from Circle 2 too.
Yeah.
Um, I yeah, 67% Circle 2. That's
Yeah.
that's really good. But yeah, I was just gonna, and also Gannon, if he would have shot anywhere close to what he shot on the final round, any of the other rounds, he'd made podium. Like
I mean,
that's just
he sh-
he would have made
he
podium.
went out there and he shot a course record until, of course, it was taken down by somebody else.
Yeah, yeah,
Just some guy named Paul Macbeth, whoever that guy is.
yeah. Just
But I mean,
casually having the
until
time of his life back there.
casually throwing a 16 down at WR Jackson, and it wasn't even rated 11,000. We'll get into that later.
1100.
Ridiculous. Or,
I
sorry,
understand
1100. But it was
11,000,
freaking. But I mean,
but
it
still,
felt like it should have been 11,000. All right. I
yeah,
don't.
that was about as close to a perfect round as it gets, and he had 2 blemishes. So, uh, yeah, for the people that say Macbeth is washed, we will say it again. No.
And the fact that he did that with an elbow injury, I want to throw that out there. He went out there knowing that he was basically limiting himself on forehands in a similar way that Eagle limited himself at LVC
Yep.
on his forehands. And that is a hard course to go out there and not have your forehand. Let me tell you, some of the shots he made with a backhand should not have even been possible, and he made them, and he made them look easy.
A lot of the rollers that he just pulled out of his butt.
I
I
mean,
what? I I don't know.
I can't even throw like a good roller on a soccer field half the time, and
I
he's
was
throwing them like
half
W.R.
tempted.
Jackson.
I was half tempted to text you and be like, "Hey, so you know that best disc golfer thing that we done? You know, we built the best MPO last week. Yeah. So
Yeah.
the creativity thing, we may have to swap some things, but
Yeah.
I it's like
Look,
because he did it at
here's
Waco too. You know what I mean?
here and
Like,
here's yeah. And here's the thing, one of the things that we had talked about was the reason why I felt like, there's style on the course and there's swag on the course. And then I chose to interpret style on the course as play style. And Paul Macbeth proved why he has the best play style. He took that course and played it a different way from everybody else on the field and made it look easy. Made it look like he was playing pitch and putt out there. You know what I mean? I just
yep.
his approach to the game is just so methodical, and I don't know. I don't know that we'll ever see another player quite like him. I'm not saying we won't see another player as good as him or do the things that he did, but we'll never see a player quite like Paul Macbeth ever again.
Yeah, you're probably right. Um, he You thought Macbeth didn't play, his scores weren't on PDGA Live? Huh. That's weird. He definitely did.
I well to give you an idea, when he shot that 16 down on the final day, he was all the way down in the mid to low 20s.
Yeah.
So he was down at like 29th place or something after the third round. So
Well,
it might have
round
been you just
3.
weren't looking low enough for him,
So just
or he was
imagine
just
this.
hitting.
All right, picture this in your brains. All right, everyone listening, everyone watching. Imagine going out to the course. All right, anybody's home course. All right, this could be the easiest course, the hardest course. It does not matter. Go to that course. You go out there and you shoot a 1 up, a 1 over, right? And you're like, okay, that feels pretty good. That, like, it's okay. It's almost 1,000 rated round. Well, the next day, you're like, oh, stretch. Oh, got a pop. You know, that felt good. Like, all right, I feel a little better today. Go out there, shoot 17 strokes better. The next day, the very next day. Less than 12
Right.
hours.
I wish that happened to me at my tournament this weekend.
Just imagine doing that. You know what I mean? Like,
I
what?
couldn't.
I don't know anybody else that can. But evidently he's done it more than once.
Yeah. Oh, he has absolutely.
But yeah, that blew my mind. I just thinking about that. I was like, just imagine waking up and being like, oh, yep, feeling excellent today. Gonna throw really good. Yep. I feel a good 16
I'm
down
feeling.
going.
I'm feeling like I'm gonna push for a near perfect round today
Yep. Yeah.
on one
No.
of the most punishing courses
Yeah.
on tour this year.
Um.
No big deal.
Yeah.
But seriously, absolute huge congratulations to Chris Dickerson. I mean, he was it. Yeah, I don't know what it was when we got through probably the first 9 holes. I didn't feel like he could lose.
I
I
see.
thought
I was the same
I
way.
I couldn't feel like I wanted to, I want to point out that I was team Vinny all day long because I want Vinny to get this win. I wanted it so bad. I love Chris Dickerson. He's absolutely deserving. I'm so happy he won because Tennessee representation up in the house, baby. But I want it for Vinny so bad. But once he got to hole 9,
Yeah.
I was like, Chris is Chris is taking this home. He is taking this to the house. I have no doubts about it.
Yeah. I. Mm. Um. I felt bad for Calvin. It seems like this is a common record that keeps playing in my mind. Is like, please, Calvin, something. Let the chips fall his way. Like, just let him get one. I don't care which one. Let him get a win under his belt. That way I can stop feeling bad. Okay.
Yeah,
Um.
seriously.
Yeah. Seriously. He's as Nick or Matt on the Nick and Matt show says, Calvin is the best player to not win ever. Like, he is
Yeah,
literally the best player ever to not win. Like,
I don't know. I've got a feeling it's going to happen this year, though.
it needs to, man.
I've just got a
He's shown
feeling.
so
I
much
don't know which one it's
excellence
going to be.
and consistency.
I don't know which one it's going to be. I don't think it's USDGC, but I think he's going to win one of the majors this year.
I
I think he
hope
is.
so. I hope.
Ben
Yeah, I
Ben
hope
in
he
the
wins
chat is
Worlds.
mentioning that didn't Paul Macbeth also play? And yes, it was so Memorial when he went out there and shot that 1100 rated round to start, and then the 1096 or something the next day.
Yeah,
He had left his RV
in
in
Waco.
Waco and then went to Memorial, and he left his main bag, his tournament bag for the year, in Waco with his RV and played with an entirely brand new bag when he shot that 1100 rated round. You are correct.
Yes. Jeff Corns, I believe it is the one that does resistance discs. Yeah, he was there and he just gave him a lot of discs. So
But the beauty, the one thing like about those types of courses are is you go out
it's
there and
hyzers.
he he even
Pick your
said he
most
was like,
overstable discs and roll.
thank God it was these courses that we were playing because all I had to do was build my bag around overstable stuff and trust that they are going to do what they're supposed to do, and they did.
Yep.
That's that's exactly what he said in his interview.
Yep. That's all you need out there. Um,
So, does this win really prove that Dickerson is the best woods player on tour right now?
I don't think there's any question in anybody's mind anymore. I didn't really have a question. I still felt like even from last year he was the best woods player on tour. Um, I thought Ricky may have been the best scrambler on tour. I don't necessarily think that anymore. Um, I just think all around, I think Chris is the best pick in the woods. And the cool thing is Chris is kind of taking the model of Paul, if you really think about it, um, of where there's really not a course that's out of his element. If you're good in the woods, you're gonna be good in the open.
Yeah, I mean he has the distance for everything, and
Exactly.
the fact that he can play in the woods like that, I mean,
Right.
there's really nothing he has to worry about at that point.
Yeah. If you can carve lines, if you can see what you can see like he sees it, you're kind of unbeatable in the woods unless somebody is just having a freakish round.
Well, and we kind of saw that at MCO as well.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where when we were walking around and you were talking about some of the stuff he did in the first round, he said, and you would point out like, oh, most of the players are going to land out here, but wait till you watch what Chris does because he's going to do something ridiculous
Right.
and he's going to land way up here. And, he would do that. And it's just like he has a very similar kind of the way that I talk about Paul Macbeth, where he approaches it and he doesn't approach the course from the way the designer designed it to be played. He says, how can I play this course to make it my best game?
Right.
And I think that's super important. And I don't know if Chris has spent any time with Paul this year, but I still feel like he has elevated his game this year. And not just because he's in a new bag or because he's playing with Discraft. I feel like there's a new mindset with Chris Dickerson this year that is different. And I don't know that if he had stayed with Prodigy that we would have seen this, but I can guarantee you that Prodigy is looking at him right now saying, "Oh my God, what did we do?"
Yeah.
I promise you they're saying that right
Absolutely.
now.
Yeah. I mean, because this, and then you look at what Kevin Jones is doing for them. And not to bash on Kevin because we are big KJ fans, but overall, you lose Katrina and Chris and Matty O, and you see what they're doing. It's not it's not good to see if you're a Prodigy fan.
No,
Um,
no. Prodigy has a lot of stuff going for them right now, but none of them have hit pay dirt yet.
yeah, exactly. They've got a lot of young rising talent. They really do.
Yeah.
Because Gannon is kind of taking that role right now. He's the top 20
Yeah.
guy. Um, one thing that I did want to point out though about Chris, I feel like Discraft did him such a solid on the RV, the tour expenses, the um, but yeah, so the tour expenses, the RV, the money, the guaranteed money, the 250,000 guaranteed.
Right.
That takes a lot of pressure off of him, so he can go do these things. He can go tour, and I feel like he's just literally playing harder because he wants to hold up his end of the deal. I feel like he's that kind of guy. So I feel like we're
Yeah.
seeing an elevated Chris strictly because Discraft done him so well. And that's something that they say in every interview.
Look, I mean, this is a way too early prediction. It's only April, but I think we need to watch out by the end of the season when we talk about like UDisc rankings or, PDGA world rankings or Statmando world rankings. The world better watch out because we might be seeing Chris Dickerson #1 at the end of the year.
Yeah, I mean Statmando's already got him at 2, right?
Something like that. I haven't
Uh
looked at Statmando this week.
yeah, I think Statmando has him at 2 now. Which I think he deserves 2 at least because Eagle should have dropped now that he played Champions Cup. Chris won. He should have at least topped Paul. Ricky, I understand him staying where he's at. If he's #1, that's fine. I think it
Yeah.
should be Ricky, Chris, Calvin, Paul, Eagle. That's where I think it should be.
I still think
Um,
you have to put Paul above Calvin right now until he wins something this year, whether it be, an A tier, Silver Series. It's got to be something notable for him to win before I'll take him above Paul.
I
But
can't I
he's definitely in the
can't
top four,
strictly for the fact of he's got the highest average placing on tour.
but he still
Consistency,
hasn't finished it off.
yeah, but as far as like the most earned and the most um consistent, I feel like that's got to get you somewhere. You know what I mean?
It it does. It gets him locked in the top four. It just does not put him above Paul for me yet. He's got to win something notable, and then I will say, all right, you know, but he's got to do it first. He's
Yeah.
got to get the dub
Even if it's a
because
silver
Paul's a
series.
proven winner. Even if it's a silver series, if
Okay.
because Paul
I
doesn't
can
have
get with
any
that.
elite series right now and he doesn't have any majors this season yet. So if that means if Calvin goes out there and wins the silver series and Paul hasn't won an elite series yet, then yes, I will give you that.
Okay.
But he has to get the
I'll agree
win
with that.
first.
I'll agree with that. I'll take that. And yeah, Ben, bravo to Discraft for unleashing the Robo Chicken.
The
Yeah.
robot chicken strikes again. Second major in his career. Congratulations to that. It's his third win on the season. I
No,
just
third win in a month.
Yeah, but I mean, third
I
win
just
on the
just
full
I know,
season,
but
and
think about it.
we're not even to Jonesboro yet, and he's
Yeah,
won 3 times.
but think about it. Just that 4 week span was insane,
Oh
and
yeah,
he took a week off.
yeah.
He played 3 tournaments in a month and won three. What?
What else can you say?
Since the Open at Belton, he's undefeated.
So, mm.
Mm.
Calvin has a higher ceiling this year. Calvin has a higher ceiling every year right now, Ben. That's the problem. Is he has the ceiling
Yeah.
and he never reaches it. That's that's why we're always Team Vinny when we get into these final rounds and he's this close. And I'm like, come on, Vinny, you can do it. And
We're always
he always
messaging
just
back and
falls a
forth.
little bit short. Team Vinny.
Yeah, we're like Team Vinny. We just want him to
Team
get one,
Vinny.
man. We do. We're rooting for you, Calvin. We really are.
I
Um,
have to say, one of the observations like that I made this week that I messaged you about, and you hadn't started watching MPO yet. I don't know what you were doing, but you were busy. And I was watching, and this is the most frustrated or emotional I've ever seen Calvin on a course. Like, it almost made it so much harder to watch, being that I was rooting for Team Vinny this weekend, to watch him be so like wearing his heart on his sleeve, because it's something you never see Calvin Heimberg do,
right. He's
right?
always still
And
stoic.
you could tell how much he wanted this one, and it almost hurt to watch him just get to the end and just be a little bit short again.
I He's gonna go in history down for the most top three finishes, the most podium finishes. I swear, the most podium finishes without wins. It's he's got to be pushing it. I'm not joking. It's always somebody's week. You know what I mean? Like it's always Ricky's week, Chris's week, Paul's week,
Yeah,
Eagle's week. It's never Calvin's week, but he's always second or third. Like
yeah,
I could see it.
I want to see it. All right,
Mm-hmm.
we've spent a lot of time on
On
MPO.
MPO. All right, going
Let's
on
let's
to
talk about
FPO.
FPO.
On FPO side, we had Miss Paige Pierce taking it down with a 9 down finish. Kristen Tatar taking it down or taking second place. Unfortunate circumstance on hole 18. We'll get into that in a little bit. And then Sarah Hokum taking third. And there was pretty much no real parity up towards the top like there was in MPO. In FPO, you kind of could see the top 10 being the top 10 in my eyes. Like me just reading them off, do you
Yep.
think anyone sounds like they shouldn't really be there? Paige, Kristen, Sarah, Own, Katrina, Valerie Mandahano, Alexis Mandahano, Natalie Ryan, Kona Star, Missy Gannon, and Haley King.
Yeah, and Haley King actually tied
Actually
for
tied for
11, so
11th.
she was just
Yeah.
outside the 10.
So
The only one
maybe
I would have
Natalie.
honestly said, yeah, I was gonna say the only one I would say I didn't expect to be there was Natalie. Um, but she also had to shoot a 3 down to get to there. And let's also be honest, when you talk about anything below fifth, they were over par for the week.
Yeah.
And we also want to point out that when we got down to the final round, the best score going into the final rounds outside of Paige and Kristen was 1 down. So 1 down versus the two players at 8 down. It was a two-horse race when we went into the final round. There wasn't nearly as much like, oh wow, what's happening in the
Right.
chase cards? What's
It
what could
was
happen? It was pretty set in stone that one of these two players was going to win. Now I want to give Katrina a really big round of applause for throwing that 7 down in the
course
final
record.
round. I want to point out that we had both picked her to win,
Yeah.
and she really disappointed us for 3 straight rounds. Pulled it together that last round. I don't know what was going on out there, but she was just struggling to get on the fairway and make good shots and scramble out of bad situations when she got into them. And
Her putting was good.
yeah, the putting was fine.
Yeah, she just it
But
was she was off the fairway a lot.
yeah, and that's WR Jackson. You
But
know,
Paige was off the fairway a lot too. She just scrambled a little better.
yes, and she bounced back a lot more
Oh
often. So when she
yeah.
did take those bogeys,
She'd
she
come
was
back
coming
with a
back and
birdie
taking
or
a
a
birdie.
par. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, if you look at just her final round, birdie, then on five bogey, and then par par birdie, bogey, par birdie, par double bogey, bounce back birdie, bogey, bounce back birdie. Like she
Yeah.
responded to the mistakes that she made, and that was so important for her because by doing what she did, by taking that bogey and then absolutely lacing her drive on 18, and then playing a very good upshot as well, she put the pressure on Kristen, which unfortunately, the most heartbreaking, like, just double whiff you've ever seen in your entire life, on Kristen going up there and
It was
just
hard for me to
could
watch.
not, she couldn't hold her composure. And I don't know. I don't have words to explain how hard that was to watch.
I felt so bad. I truly did. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a Kristen fan. I've been a Kristen fan for a long time. So I wanted Kristen to win this from like from the beginning of lead card starting off. I was like, all right, Kristen, let's go, let's go. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I like Paige, and there is nothing wrong with Paige winning again. It's just like it's kind of, and I don't like being this guy. Okay, I don't like being this guy, but I don't like Alabama strictly for the fact that they win all the time. You know what I mean? And
Yep.
I just want to see other people win, and we've got to see it this past couple of years, and I really like it. You know, now Paige is gonna be in there. She's gonna be a contender because she's the greatest FPO probably of all time. If not now, will be. I will say that.
Yeah. I mean,
Um,
she's in her prime. She's not anywhere close to slowing down.
right,
She's going to go down as the best FPO disc golfer of all time
right.
when her career is over.
And her legacy is not anywhere near over. But I wanted to see Kristen win. I did. I feel like she's had a Calvin type year, other than Memorial, where it's been second place, third place, second place, second place, second place, third place, and it's like you got this. You know what I mean? Like she was in control. She was in the driver's seat. She Paige took that double bogey, basically gave it up on like what was it, 15, hole 15, and I was like, Kristen's got this in the bag. She held the two-stroke lead all the way until hole 18. Hole 18 comes. She throws a. They both throw just kind of average drives. Paige has a really good upshot. Kristen doesn't have that great of an upshot, and then her approach was not that good. You could tell the pressure was sinking in. Um, it's just one of those things. I would have done exactly what she done. I know you'll probably play devil's advocate on me, but from that putt on the edge of circle two, it was probably not edge of circle two, but it was probably like a 40 foot, maybe 42, 45. What do you think? That first putt that she made or
Missed. It was
attempted.
40. It was 45-50. I would say. Could have been closer to 41, but I want to say it was right around 45.
I would have probably
But
tried to leave it
it was
short,
it
but
was 40. Yeah, it was 45, mind you. It was also downhill, and she
yeah,
sailed it.
yeah,
She missed the basket completely, and that's where it kind of really, you know, I texted him and I kind of asked, "Do you think he would have laid that up?" And part of the reason I said this is not necessarily that I think she should have laid up. I
yeah,
just had like a little bit of a like you said, a devil's advocate like spot in my mind where the thought process was you're putting from mid to deep circle two and you're putting downhill. If you missed, it's going a mile. And not only that, you have played off the tee 10 times better than Paige has that entire round. So
mm-hmm,
all you had to do is, you know, if you did lay up or maybe did like a little like lofty Anheuser bid, maybe where it kind of set down a little
yeah,
sooner or a little softer, and then nailed your putt, took it into the playoff, um, was basically just beat her off the tee because you don't need to out putt her. You just need to out throw her. And that is always Paige's weakness in the woods. Can
yeah.
she be consistent in the woods?
The
And we saw
problem,
the inconsist. Her card shows the inconsistency
yeah,
that she can have in the woods.
I agree.
So that was just the argument that I had made. I'm not saying she should have laid up.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, should it have been maybe a thought process, or maybe should she have changed the approach that she went into that with?
yeah,
I don't think she did anything wrong. I want to point that
right.
out.
I truly think that in her mind, she had a chance to go ahead and win. You know what I mean? Like she had that chance and not have the lioness on her back. You know what I mean? Like in the playoff, nobody wants to go against Paige, unless you're Katrina. But
No, but she had also,
still,
outplayed Paige the whole weekend up until those putts.
she had, but who knows what would have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I feel like I would take my chance at trying to win it. And unfortunately, it was a bad putt. You know,
yeah, and
it's just it was.
you could see the nerves really kicked in there. The confidence was not on. She had no confidence on her face when we saw that putt.
Yeah, I wish
Absolutely,
on her comeback putt she would have took more time. She rushed it. Her emotions were really getting to her. Um, yeah, I it was hard. It was hard to watch, but overall, the final round was like match play, truly, and it was fun to watch. Congratulations to Paige. Um, she is always there. You know what I mean? She's just always there.
yeah,
She makes sure to keep everyone honest because if you mess up, see what
she's there.
happens.
Now, I want to point out that this is the second time in a row that we have picked somebody to win this tournament, and we had said something explicitly along the lines of, "I don't know that Paige has the stuff to win this tournament," and she wins the tournament. I
I'm
feel
just
like
not gonna
we're
do
not
that anymore.
we are not allowed to say that Paige does not have what it takes to win this particular tournament because of a course style or this or that or whatever it is ever again.
Yeah, no, 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 nope, nope,
We're never
nope,
we're never allowed to ever
nope.
talk about that.
That's not gonna happen anymore. Not for me. You shall not hear me say that. Um, but yeah, I mean, that was a pretty good little tournament recap, to be honest, about how everything went down. And
Yeah, I'd say so.
what did you think about
You
the coverage?
well, before we get into coverage,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking let's talk about the tournament itself. Number one, first major of the year, and we've kind of already touched on it, but I want to get like a full scope of our ideas. First major of the year, and number two, inaugural event for this major, the Champions Cup, the first time we've ever experienced it. And I have to be honest, I was worried going into this event that I was like, is this going to feel like a major? How good is this really going to feel? And it exceeded every expectation I could have possibly thought about. I mean, from front to back, every player out there had a fire and a passion and a desire to win this. It truly felt like a major from front to back. You could tell how much these players wanted this. And to do that in your very first year of having a tournament and calling it a major, super impressive, really well done. Very proud of what they did out there. It was great.
It's because of the course, though.
I don't think it was just the course. I think that it was even in some of like the tournaments we've seen this year, like Texas State or Waco, it just you could tell how serious the players took this event compared to every event we've seen this year. And the fact that the players took it that seriously is what really made it feel like a major.
Yeah,
Because we all know that like we saw Hunter tweet about it a little bit this last week. Hunter from Foundation
foundation.
Disc Golf. What does a major mean to you? And what's so important about a major and this, that, and the other? And well, look, the truth of the matter is you can say whatever you want about what makes a major important, but what makes a major important is that it's the most important stat that you have at the end of your career. When somebody talks about, oh, this guy won 300 times, great. How many majors did he win? Zero. Cool. So he won 290 C tiers and a few A tiers.
Right.
Awesome. Right. But when you say that you've won a major, instantly you are automatically that much better.
Yep.
Right. It's so coveted to be a major winner because number one, there's less of them every year. They're the biggest tournaments of the year. They're generally invite only. There's a player cap that's smaller than most of the bigger tournaments of the year as well. And the field fights so much harder for it. And I thought that they really captured that this year, even though it was only the first year.
Right. Um, kind of side note, but it popped in my brain. Um, this is gonna be a random tangent, and I'm not sorry. So, what do you think Discraft will do? Since for majors, you normally get a disc, right? I mean, you usually do.
Right.
Um, uh, some type of commemorative disc. Well, the disc that Chris used the most was a bonsai
Yes, the bonsai.
from DGA.
Bonsai!
So, would it be possible for Discraft to run a commemorative DGA disc?
I don't see why not.
Would that
w-
not like
I I don't think there would be any issue when push comes to shove because the worst comes to worst is that DGA gets extra advertising simply because of that. It's no different for me than like the fact that, you know, Jeremy Colling has a store series disc, but his signature series disc,
is
his
a
disc
mortar?
with his name on it is the mortar from Millennium. And, I think it's a similar concept. I don't see any problems
So
with
it's
that.
kind of like
I think it would
Calvin
be
with the
great.
Draco too,
Yeah, exactly.
and Barsby with the Scorpius. So I mean, yeah, that makes sense. I just hadn't really thought about it for Discraft or DGA. Um, and
DGA not owned by Discraft, but Discraft is the manufacturer for all of DGA's discs.
and plastic. Um, but yeah, so I would totally pick up a bonsai. I'm not gonna lie, like that sounds cool.
Bonsai!
A
The,
a
the
a,
Chris
ro-
Dickerson bonsai.
a robot chicken bonsai, please.
What if we got the robot chicken got the robot chicken buzz? What if we did a limestone laser bonsai?
Oh,
ah,
oh,
I
I like this. All right, we're gonna have
think
to
that's a good idea.
yep clip this segment, ship it out. All right, clip it and ship it.
Clip it and ship it.
Yep,
Limestone laser bonsai.
I like it.
Bonsai!
But yeah, so that's what I was thinking. I honestly figured he'd throw a lot of Undertaker, but he needed more speed, so that's why he threw Bonsai. Yeah, I was impressed with that, to be honest, and surprised.
Yeah.
And you know when he got that disc?
Isn't that one of the first discs like he ever had?
No, that's he had threw a Bonsai a long time ago, but
Oh,
this
okay.
one was a new Bonsai, and he got it Monday.
That's gonna be a staple in his bag now, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. He got it Monday. He had 2 days of practice with it.
Hey,
So
that's cool. I mean, now we'll finally start seeing something other than a force.
yeah, yeah, you're right.
Something other than my overstable force, my stable force, my
My
understable force,
and
my really flippy
my
force.
flippy.
Hmm,
What?
my
What is
flippy
a flippy
force.
force? It's like, is that a
It's
thing? It's
it
not
says
real.
force on it, but we're pretty sure that mold's wrong. There's no way that's a
That's a
force.
sail.
Okay, I don't know what that is, but it's not a force.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay. Moving on. Um. Wait, we didn't talk about the coverage. Did you want to talk about the coverage? I mean, it was pretty good. To be in the woods, I thought it was about as good as it could be.
Yeah, I mean, camera work wise, I don't really have too many complaints. Commentary, it was what it is. All I have to say, like for FPO side, or really just in general, was the amount of times I heard the word incredible for stock shots
Yeah.
was upsetting. Incredible.
And
Like,
I'm in the minority here because Elaine King is literally a historic legend in the sport.
yeah.
I hate her commentary. I
I don't
can't
like it either.
I can't stand it.
The
I
amount of times that during FPO coverage, anytime that they're together, there's just like, oh, that was a really great shot. She's gonna have a really good line from there, and then they get up there and wow, this is not the line I expected her to have. It's like every other shot that she commentates on
yeah.
is the exact opposite of what she says it was gonna be. And I just but still, for me it's the incredible line.
Well,
It's
she's
incredible.
yeah, but she also flips the verse so much. Is like she critiques very hard as well. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
oh, she turned that over an inch to the right. Now it's going to be way over here to the right, and it definitely wasn't the line that she intended. And it's like, okay, thanks. You know what I mean? I don't know. Bring Hannah Macbeth back.
Hannah Macbeth, we're calling for you.
Yeah, for real. I really
Will the
enjoyed.
real
I enjoyed Christine Jennings on there too.
yeah.
Um, but I don't know. That's just me and my personal opinion. I don't care much for her commentary. I like Elaine King. I'm not a fan of her commentary. However,
Yeah.
on the other side, um, I want more Brian Earhart
100%.
and Philo. I know a lot of people don't like Philo. I
Philo says the most off the cuff, ridiculous stuff every single week. He has a new catchphrase for good shots every week, and I love that
I love
because
it. He's
because
such a
like I
good
said, like
color.
that's the big thing. Like I said, like the amount of times I heard incredible was just so overwhelmingly annoying that I can't stand it. But like seriously, every time Philo's on, he has a new catchphrase for the weekend. And it's
Yeah,
always new.
yeah, I know.
Like he just says weird stuff too, like, "Oh, he put a little bit too much mustard on that hot dog."
Right? I
Like,
love it.
what
He's such a good color commentator. Like
what does that mean?
If Brian Earhart was the play-by-play,
Yeah.
right? And Philo was the one providing the color commentary, it would be perfect for me.
Yeah.
And then you have
I
your
think I could get down with a Brian and Ian Anderson too as well. I
well,
think that they could definitely work together, but I like the Philo.
I was thinking an Ian Anderson and Nate Sexton, and
Nate
and
Sexton is so brutally honest though. I
I
love
like it.
it.
I like it. I do. I truly like that.
I think because I think like Nate Sexton is what Elaine King wants to be, but
Yeah,
she just doesn't get there.
yeah. I can see that, but Nate does it well.
Yes,
Um,
so well.
so yeah, I could see Ian and Nate doing very well, but I think if Brian and Philo were a team together, which I hope they try this one time, it'll be my favorite tournament, regardless of who plays in it. I could care less.
I don't care what happens because that commentary is going to be gold.
Yes, I used to kind of not be on the Philo train. Philo has upped his game on the commentary. Like he does research, he you can tell he's taking it serious, and I just appreciate that. Like I do.
The other thing I really love about Philo is that he's played all of the courses that we see and he's played them all multiple times. The amount of times this weekend alone that we heard Ian say, "Oh, I think he's going to be in trouble over there," and Philo was like, "No, no, no, I think he's going to be fine. He's just got to the point where it's
Yeah,
going to open up right there," and he was right.
he's been there.
Like
You
way
know what I
more
mean?
often than not, he
Yeah,
was right,
exactly.
and
He's
it
like the
brings an
perfect
element.
Tony Romo in football. Like where
Yes,
you know what I mean? He's calling it
wait,
out to what how it's happening, but he's not giving you that play by play. You know what I mean?
right,
Whereas he could, but he does a better role if he's not doing that. And I think he does very good he's kind of found where he belongs, um, as far as providing that color commentary, and I'm about it. I like it. So yeah, I
yeah.
just wanted to mention how good Philo's been doing.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
Next.
do we want to hit Daniel's drama number two?
Yep. Daniel's drama double
Part
time.
two.
I hit it with a triple D, and you went part two.
Part two.
Not cool, dude.
Not cool, dude. All right. So here's the thing.
the thing.
Everybody who has been anybody who has been paying attention to any type of like what's happening in disc golf this week has seen what happened with Kristen and her daughter. Okay. For those of you who didn't see, I'm going to start with Kristen's Instagram post because it is the most direct source and not the well, I've seen this and this is what happened, or I've seen this and this is what happened, or I was there and this is what happened, or I don't want it to get blown up out of proportion. This is what happened. I want to start with her Instagram post and see what she said. Okay. Last week was intense and it was very hard to sum it all up. First of all, I'm grateful that I had the chance to be a part of the Champions Cup. In my opinion, the venue was great. I absolutely loved it. Can't wait to play it there again. Secondly, I wanted to tell you all that I have the best daughter in the world. She is so tough and brave even at a young age. It turned out in the middle of the final round that she could not walk with me and had to go into the crowd, plus find a supervisor for her. Otherwise, I might be disqualified. I was very confused and my heart was racing at the moment, but I can't imagine being 8 and in a foreign country or culture and asked to leave being beside your parent to walk with strangers. I know that I probably would have cried when I was in her shoes, but she was so tough and went with volunteers. I'm very proud of her. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, one of the things that they've done in the last couple of years, and I can't remember whether it was this season or last season, was they upped the age of minimum caddy requirements to 13. So she couldn't be out there as a caddy or whatever you want to call her. She was not allowed to be out there with her mom, right? And I get that. And I understand a lot of these rules. Now, to go from that to maybe a couple other sources, um, one somebody had posted, and I can't exactly remember exactly where, but basically we'll just get in here. Before things get out of hand, number one, it was not a competitor that noticed the rule violation. It was at hole 4 when it was noticed the child was not with them for the other rounds. This was done to protect her. Imagine being or if a competitor found out and wanted to call her on it, and the PDGA would have been obligated to disqualify her. They cited the Val Jenkins incident from back. The staff arranged to find somebody to supervise the child, and they handled it with a lot of class, in my opinion. Um, there was kind of some other stuff that went around. Apparently, they got the daughter a quiet sign, so she was able to remain up in the front of the gallery, just a few feet back, that sort of stuff. And the idea of a disqualification was quote unquote never considered at all. It was more of a let's remedy the situation now before anything happened. But once we find out a rule is being broken, we can't ignore that. That comment specifically came from the PDGA marketing director, Danny Voss.
Yeah.
And there were a couple other comments. Apparently, Elaine King was actually the person who made the initial comment. I don't know what the accuracy of that is. That's been the forward thing going on. Apparently, she texted Paige's caddy
Yes,
about the
Haley.
situation and then kind of went from there. Now, number one, disrupting a round like that for something like that, I get, but I also don't get because I feel like we're starting to get into this situation where we're not respecting all the rules the same. And I'm going to bring up how many times we've talked in the last few weeks about Nico and the amount of time it takes him to putt and the conversations we've had about it. It needs to be a rule and we need to respect it as a rule, or it needs to not be a rule at all. Right?
Yep.
How many times have we seen him get his warning for time, go past his time, and never get his stroke?
Yeah.
Right?
A lot.
And this is for me, this is the same thing. And to do this on the final round of a major in the middle of the round, like this left such a bad taste in my mouth for so
It
many
was her
different reasons.
daughter potentially gonna see her mom win a major. I yeah. So I hate it. I hate the rule. I think that there is a distraction or a courtesy violation that can be called if you're having if the card is having to quote unquote babysit. Okay? If they're causing a distraction, if they're causing a disturbance, if they're doing something, if they're kicking leaves and stuff in the background while you're trying to prepare your putt, or you know what I mean? Like,
Or
okay,
while another player is trying to prepare their
I
putter
get
throw.
that, but that's Kristen's responsibility, and she takes that on. But that's not a disqualifying case, in my opinion. Like, she the young girl is obviously very respectful, very well brought up, and was super calm the entire round. And even Paige said, like, I didn't even notice she was there most of the time. Like, no one thought two thoughts about her being there. They wanted Kristen's daughter to be included. And granted, the way that the staff operated it and got her up front, got her with volunteers, got her the way that they handled it, kudos to the staff. Okay? That was great. They wouldn't have had to done that, and they wouldn't have done that if it wouldn't have been for the calling of PDGA. Um, but there was 6 marshals on that course, and all of them were on that lead card at this time. And they didn't say anything. PDGA, um, Joe or whatever his name was. Sorry, I can't remember it. But he was the guy that was. He walked up to Paige in the middle of the round, right before her tee shot, and was like, "Hey, tell Haley to check her phone." And that's a distraction in my mind. That's distracting to Paige, and then therefore it's distracting to Kristen, which could have strictly been avoided by just not being talked about. But it's a rule, and you have to abide by the rules, and I understand that. So that's what makes it a difficult call.
Yeah. And the part that I'm just like, I'm so confused about more than anything else was when Danny Voss said it was a let's remedy the situation now. But once we find out a rule's being broken like that, we can't just ignore it. Well, why do we ignore so many rules so many times? But this is the one we chose to enforce in the middle of a round. At like, it was not that big of a deal.
It's
Like,
not
the card
causing
wasn't
anything.
complaining. Nobody in the card was upset about it. The card even came out and said we barely even noticed that she was there. It wasn't like a big. Why is this the rule that we're choosing to enforce, but we let all of these other rules slide all the time?
Right.
I don't get that. It's just one of those things where I find so frustrating that they chose to enforce this rule at this particular time instead of saying, you know what, let's let this round play out and let her know don't ever do that again.
Yes. There you go. That's all you have to do. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, next time, just make sure that she's behind the ropes, that she's got somebody, and it would have been fine. She would have done that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not it.
Because here's the thing, when we look at that and we look at everything that happened this weekend and we look at Kristen's collapse, I'm not going to say hands down if her daughter was there, she'd still have won. We don't know what would have happened, but we can say for one thing, like one thing is for certain that 100% affected her mindset through the rest of the course that day.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We have no idea how that would have played out if that had never happened.
Yeah. And I mean, it goes both ways. You know, it was distracting to Paige too. You know,
Yeah.
she was trying to talk to her caddy about her shots, and her caddy's having to relay a message from Elaine King to Kristen. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like,
I understand Elaine King's position in like the
she was
PDGA
trying.
and who she is and her level of authority and her responsibility at the time. But it was also just such a weird like there's no way that the best person to contact in that situation was Paige's caddy.
Right.
That there's no way that was the best point of contact for her. And
No.
that's one of the other things that I'm like, why?
Yeah, that one was a brain scratcher for me too. I don't know why that had to happen like that, but it did. Um, I Elaine, you can tell it just by the way that she does commentary that she is a stickler for the rules.
Yeah.
Um, so
Could you imagine Elaine King commenting when Nico's putting?
she would probably make a lot of fans. She would probably make a lot of fans because she would be calling somebody on PDGA and be like, "Hey, hey,
Speed that up.
hey, this ain't working. He's
The
taking
amount of
way too
times we
long.
would hear her say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm back." Like,
Yeah, exactly.
all right, well, that's Daniel's drama part two. If you guys have any thoughts about that situation, feel free to let us know in the comments. Tweet at us, comment on Facebook, comment on Instagram. We'd love to hear your thoughts on the situation. We know it was controversial. I don't think there's anything else that we can really say about it, but those are our thoughts and our feelings. And yeah, it's just, I feel like it's just going to be one of those years where every week or every other week, we're going to have a conversation about some rule that is just, I mean, the fact that we had to talk about two different rules this week and the way that it was enforced, I think it was kind of ridiculous. But we're going to have to keep having these conversations this year. I just have a feeling.
Yeah, you're right. It's gonna happen. It's kind of like in NFL. You hear on every NFL podcast, the referees, the referees, the referees. It's gonna be one of those things. Anytime
Yeah.
rules are in sports, it's just gonna be a talking point, which is
How many?
okay because we are a podcast and
It's
we
our
need
job.
talking points. We got to talk about something. So here we are. But speaking of
Uh,
talking points, you like this segue? Because we're rolling right into it. I told Ben in chat that we would touch on his comment how the PDGA for Champions Cup was promoting the event through last cash instead of top payout. Okay? I thought this was weird. It it made sense at the time, but then I was like, that's really weird. Why would you do that? Like no other sport's telling you, hey, you can come in last cash and I'll give you $100. You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna thing. That's not a thing. They're gonna be like, first place, you get $100,000. It sounds better, right?
oh, it's so much better.
But at the same time, they promised no three-figure checks, nothing under $1,000, right? And here we are. Guess what? Tied for 40th place was four individuals that all four got a $250 check.
No three-figure checks. Here's
No
your
three-figure
four
checks.
three-figure checks.
Yep. So
I mean, what do we say about that though? I mean, that's kind of one of those things where it's like,
they advertised
what
the
are you
wrong
what are you
thing.
what are you gonna
They
do though?
advertised the
Like,
wrong thing.
but even if you advertise, I mean, it's kind of a cool advertisement. Like, hey, you come in last place of cash, you're still gonna get $1,000.
No,
Well, if you gotta like make good on that. I don't know, like,
well, what do
what
you
do you do?
do? What do you
What
do?
do you,
I mean,
do you cut? You have to cut cash off because all the people who came in 40th can win
I mean,
a
take
thousand
the
dollars.
hot
What do you
round for the
do?
40th.
Like, yeah, I don't
I
know.
don't know, but think about the guy that's in 39th place that made $1,011. You know what I mean? He's like, wow, there was four people below me that got $1,000. You know, but it, I don't like it. I don't like it. I
It's just like a bad taste in your
It
mouth.
is.
Like,
It really is. I just wish that I wish that they would have at least just held up to their end of the deal. You know, it was like, oh man, we got to come out with another $3,000 out of pocket. Sheesh. But
well, so Benin said no one cared about the people who didn't cash at the DGPT finale. And to be fair, technically, if you made it into the DGPT final tournament, everybody cashed. If you made it to the tournament,
you
everybody cashed.
automatically
And they
got
actually,
2,000.
yeah, it was a minimum. And they did actually talk about that multiple times throughout like the
Yeah.
live coverage. They talked about like it doesn't matter what he does here, he's still walking away with 4 grand because he made it to the second round or whatever
Right.
it was. They talked about it a lot, to be fair.
Yeah.
But still, when push came to shove at the very end of the tournament, all everybody talked about was the $30,000 purse for the winner.
And Johnny actually brings up a good debate topic. There is ways you could do it.
Well, yeah,
There's so many stats to eliminate ties now that we're getting more analytical and data driven in the sport. I feel like there's plenty of ways. All you have to do is have Disc Golf Pro Tour set up their tiebreaker rules and boom. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
I that would be an easy solution. Would it mess over a lot of people? Yeah, probably. But I mean, at the same time, it I kind of like the idea of not having a tie. because it does sound kind of corny when I'm like, well, there was 4 people tied for fifth. It's like first place, second place, third place, fourth place, and then fifth place, fifth place, fifth place, fifth place, fifth place, fifth place, fifth place. Wow, that was a tongue twister. Um,
That was tough, bud.
that was tough. Words are hard. Um, what's the fairest state to use first for the stat? Okay, what's the fairest stat to use first for a tiebreaker?
Most birdies throughout the weekend.
I think okay, so let's debate a little bit. So at a course like this, it wouldn't necessarily matter because there was no OB, right? Everything played casual. It was what it was. Um, but OB percentage is a good stat because that shows you how well they played or how clean they played. That doesn't necessarily show their scramble, right? That doesn't get considered so much as a scramble.
Right.
So OB rate would be a good one. And then birdie percentage would be a good one. And then I think probably fairway hits. The only problem with the fairway hits is you are relying on your UDisc scorers that are 99% of the time volunteers. So take that with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
It's like, because if there is a one disc there that's like, well, there's a tree on the side that's over here in front of him. I don't really know if this is the fairway or not. Yeah, it's on the fairway. It's fine. You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't do that, but
places gained on the final day.
now you could just simply do it as hot round, the hottest round, right? You could do. He had a 15 down, a 1 over, a 16 down, a 2 over, and somebody else have that was tied. It'd be 3, 19. What's that? So you're talking 34 total. So you're like 8, 8, 8, and 10, and they're 34. But yet the one with the hottest round would win. Quick math. So
quick math.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
He's over here. He could have just done like 40 down and said somebody went 10, 10, 10, and 10. But
yeah, but
he went complicated.
Yeah, I went brain flex. I crinkly brain over here. So but yeah, so I truly think that there would be plenty of ways, endless possibilities that they could come up with a format to do elimination for ties. And I would be 100% supportive of that. Fewest bogeys, that's also another good one. Alden Harris would win every single tie that he was ever in. So the man just don't bogey.
No, he plays clean.
He is the reincarnation of Nate Sexton. But yeah, so we touched on that. Oh, but question that was also in chat. What do you think about like stockpiling or kind of front loading the payout? So as far as like, instead of Chris getting 13,000 and Last Cash getting 1,000, wink wink, what would it look like if Last Cash got 500 and first place had 20,000? Does that help the sport? Does that hurt the sport?
I don't know. I mean, when push comes to shove, a podium finish, regardless of the position, should inherit more cash. I mean, the fact that fourth place got 4,800, but third place took 6,000, I feel like that gap is not nearly as large as it should be. Right? So there is already a huge mistake in my mind in the way that payouts happen. In terms of like 13 grand to 1 grand for the last place, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I think a front end heavy is going to be better because the thing is, you want people fighting for that position, right? And it's not just the covet of the title itself, but you got to put something on the line out there, and money is what you put on the line besides the title. I just, I agree. I don't know. It's hard to say. You know what I mean?
Yes, I'm with it. Um, all right. Well, you want to go ahead and move forward into a little game segment?
Well, let's do some games.
All right. You know we like some games. All right. So let's start off with the Who Am I segment. Um,
Let's do
I
it to it.
had FPO, or I'm gonna be an FPO this week, and Daniel will be MPO. Um, who do you want to go first?
I don't know. You can guess first, and I'll give you my player.
I was gonna flip a coin, but I don't have one, and I'm upset about it now. But it's okay. I'll go first.
All right.
Bling. Heads. I
And-
called heads.
All right. Who am I? I placed in the top 10. I play for Discraft. I hit 58% of the fairways,
Oof.
73rd, and I putted 94% from circle 1, which was 16th.
Okay. 94% from circle one was 16th. That's impressive. That many people were above 94%.
Well, I mean, when you have somebody who actually goes out there and literally shoots 100,
Yeah.
which luckily you don't have to consider because you played for Prodigy.
Yep.
There's your hint.
Yeah,
That's the
I
last
knew
hint.
that one. I'm trying to think. It's so funny too because of how this worked. So first place was Chris Discraft, but I know that wasn't him because he hit many much more fairways. Um, you had Kent, Ricky. Third was Calvin. Fourth, Bree. And Corey plays for Discraft. He's a very good putter. I could see that one. Fifth, Drew. I'm gonna go with Corey Ellis.
No.
Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Cannot think because there was no ninth or 10th. It was all through fifth. Why could I not think of who else plays for Discraft that made the top 10? Um, it was probably somebody that's really sneaky, like had a really good sneaky round.
Johnny, he plays for Discraft, so not KJ.
KJ, yeah, he plays for Prodigy. Um,
KJ also did not place in the top 10.
I didn't even where did KJ finish?
I don't know. I'd have to look. He was
Um,
22nd, so he's still sitting down in that 20th area that he's been all year.
right, consistent. Um, did Ben Calloway get in the top 10? No.
10 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. No, I ain't got nobody. I can't think.
Paul Macbeth
Oh,
placed 9th.
yeah.
And I picked him intentionally because I knew you would pick Corey Ellis over Paul Macbeth because why would I pick Paul Macbeth? Right? But Corey Ellis actually hit over 60% of his fairways, which was not that much better, but it was better. And he hit 96% from Circle 1 X.
I was sincerely worried because like I was like Corey Ellis does not miss putts. I was like 94% doesn't sound low. Like it sounds too low. Um,
Yeah, I mean,
but
outside of park percentage, really, like Corey Ellis and Paul Macbeth had very, very similar weekends,
yeah.
including the fairway hits, which was off by a little bit, but it was only like 7%.
You big
Which
brained
at
me.
WR Jackson, not surprising that 7% is really not that much when you think about that, because you can scramble out of non-fairway hits at WR Jackson pretty well if you're creative.
You big brained me.
uh,
Oh, yeah. I got you. All right. Well, I didn't even get a half a point on my second guess, so yay me.
yay me.
So who am I?
Uh,
Also Discraft player, also in the
Okay.
top 10.
Okay.
FPO, obviously. First in OB rate. Everybody was first in OB rate. I just had to throw that in there.
Okay.
There was 0 OB, so I just
Well, technically, anything that missed Mando is considered OB as well.
there was nobody that missed. Everybody tied first. I looked. I was like, wow, this is impressive.
Okay.
But yeah, 85% Circle 1X putts. But Circle 1 putt altogether was 93%. Uh-huh. So that kind of tells you that tells a story there. And then 24% from Circle 2.
21% from Circle 2?
24.
24.
Almost made a quarter of them. I know I kind of went through those weird, so if you need me to repeat something, I can.
No. I mean, I don't feel like you would have tried to big brain me with Paige Pierce here. It would be very impressive if you did, but it's always possible that it is her. But I'm going to guess that it is not, which would leave Valerie Mandahano and Missy Gannon for Discraft, I think.
I'm waiting on an answer, please.
I'm gonna go with Alexis Mandahano.
Why did you say Valerie?
I meant
Okay, because
Alexis.
I was like,
Yeah. When I said Discraft, I was
because I
thinking
didn't want to be
Alexis,
like,
not Valerie.
I was like, that's not Discraft, but I didn't want to call you out on it. I figured you just made a mistake. Now I called you out on it. Okay, but yeah, you got it right.
Yes.
It was Alexis Mandahano. I
Yep.
just thought that that was an interesting stat that her Circle 1 putt percentage was higher than her C1X by that much.
Yeah.
8%.
That means
It was the
she
biggest
was.
spread between all of the other Discraft girls.
Huh.
So,
That's interesting.
yep.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really. I couldn't decide. It was really hard. I mean, I thought it was 50-50. It had to be Alexis or Missy, because I know you weren't picking Paige, but
she had a better Circle 1 putt percentage uh, than Paige, but Paige had a much better Circle 2.
yes, because she
So,
hit some massive circle two putts this
yeah.
weekend. I'm not gonna lie.
She was like 48% Circle 2 or something like that, which is
I'll
really good.
pull it up.
Yes,
Let's see.
30s or 40s, something like that. It was much better. Yeah,
29%
29%. Okay.
from circle two, but that was ranked second,
Yeah.
and that was 8 made out of 28, which is
Yeah.
not bad.
That's not
for,
bad at all.
For FPO, that's really good.
I would take that any day.
Oh,
Johnny,
yeah,
you were half
sure.
right. You are correct.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I probably threw you off because I said Valerie when I meant Alexis, because I'm not above mixing up the Mandahano sisters. My bad.
Yep.
So I'm sorry for throwing you off like that. All right. Well, I have a little bit of a tale of the tape.
Okay.
You want to talk about it?
Yeah, sure. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it. All right.
Tell me, what did you say?
And this is I feel like there's not any one particular stat that necessarily speaks to more than any other thing in particular. But we'll kind of get into that. Chris Dickerson Fairway hits 79%, park percentage 13%, circle ones in regulation 53%, and circle twos in regulation 71%, birdie percentage 58%. All three of those last three in a row, ranked first in the entire tournament for MPO. Scramble percentage 93%, that was fifth. And circle 1x putting 95%, circle 2 putting was 43%. Versus the highest competitor to have a chance at this win was Ricky Wysocki, 68% fairway hit, 15% park percentage, which was a little bit better, 51% circles in regulation, 68% circles two in regulation, 54% birdie percentage, 90% scramble rate, 88% circle 1x, 33% from circle two. So, right off the bat, a couple of things really stood out, particularly. Number one, circle 1x. When we watched that final round with Ricky Wysocki, he domed the cage multiple times in circle one, which was super uncharacteristic for Ricky to do that kind of a thing. And then obviously the scramble percentage was not bad. 90% ranked him seventh. And that 90% included 18 converted and 2 missed scrambles versus 13 converted and 1 missed for Chris Dickerson. I call that out in particular because a higher percentage, number one, but also number two, we see that 79 to 68% fairway hits at WR Jackson, that's massive. Like for MPO, that is a huge gap. And then you put that on top of the fact that he only shot 88% from circle 1x on putting. That ranked him 55th in the entire tournament.
Oof.
That's not good. And don't get me wrong, I mean, Ricky is a fantastic player, but could you imagine the 3 or 4 times that we saw him circle one cage a putt on the
Yeah.
final round? If he doesn't do that, which we're not used to seeing Ricky do something like that, especially in a final round,
Of a
I mean,
major? Yeah.
it's Ricky's to lose at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like across the board, Chris all weekend long did everything just a little bit better, and two stats did really better.
Yep.
Like, but that's kind of your tail of the tapes. It just shows that like how the fact that they were only separated by 2 strokes when you consider all of those stats is pretty amazing. It shows a lot of resiliency
Yeah.
by
Ricky.
Ricky to be where he was, considering that he was behind in basically every single stat with the exception of parked percentage, which put him at 5th percent. He parked 11 times versus Chris's 9.
Yeah.
But that park percentage was not enough to make up for the fact that he missed 5 circle 1x putts.
Yeah, that is very uncharacteristic. But it still could have been close because Chris could have changed his game plan if he had made more. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
that's part of the tale of the tapes. That's how it played out.
Yeah, it's just those were the stats that like in particular circle 1x putting and fairway hits really just set Chris over the edge in terms of taking down the full victory.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people, I mean, Chris getting first in 3 different categories in the entire tournament, that always sets up and bodes well for winning a tournament.
It does.
Of those 8 categories, if you get first in 3 or 4 of them, you're pretty close to guaranteeing yourself a win, unless you're really bad in 2 or 3 other
Right.
categories. Excuse me, which he wasn't. He didn't place lower than 20th in a single category. Whereas Ricky had 1, 2, 3 categories that he placed lower than 20th, and those were 34th, 55th, and 49th, which was not good. Numbers are interesting.
They
That's the
are.
tail of the tape.
Numbers are wild. All right. And that
That's
was your
that's
tale of the
why
tape.
that's
I'm
why
gonna get
Chris
sound
won.
bites eventually.
That's the tail of the tape.
Hey, if y'all hadn't checked it out on Instagram yet, y'all need to go watch the Grandpa Bacon skit that I clipped off of off of the live stream from last week or the week before. Should definitely check that out. It's hilarious. I
My
almost
throat
dropped
hurts
out
too
of my
bad to do
seat.
that.
Almost dropped out of my seat. But and there's probably like 3,000 views on it, and I guarantee you I've been 2,200 of them.
Just watching it over and
I
over
just
again.
can't help it. It was funny. It was funny to me.
I'm okay. I'm okay. Don't
I'm
worry
okay.
about me.
That was me. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the disc guessing game.
Let's do it. Let's do it to it.
Do you have one as well, or you want to just go back to the one?
I mean, I can come up with one on the spot. It's not hard.
Yeah, obviously.
But you go
Um,
first if you already have one.
I do have one. I do have one. I will start the timer, and everybody kind of guess along with him. Um, you let me know when you're ready,
Do it to it.
and go.
Innova.
Yes.
Okay. Was not ready for that. I was not prepared. Mid range.
No.
Distance driver.
Yes.
Ooh. Overstable.
Yes.
Is it stable to overstable?
Yes.
Okay. Gosh, I can't even think
30
straight
seconds.
right now. There's so many discs. That does not narrow it down like at all. Well, it's not the boss because the boss is true overstable. Let's see, 13 speed.
Yes.
Okay, Shrike.
No.
Okay. Da 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 da. Can't think of
10
one.
seconds.
I can't think of one. The Mamba's understable, Justin.
And that's time.
And
You get one more question and one more guess for a half point.
it's a 13 speed.
Correct.
I don't know their 13 speed lineup that well.
That's the only reason I picked this one, is like it's kind of a sneaky 13.
And it's definitely Innova, not like Millennium or anything weird like
Right.
that, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Innova.
Is it something with destroyer like numbers? So like 5, -1, 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
I
your
mean,
question.
yeah, I know the disc, but I can't think of the name off the top of my head. Because I've never bagged one before. But I can picture the disc, but it's not helping me at all. I'm stumped. What is it?
The Wraith.
Isn't the Wraith 11 speed?
It's not. It's a 13, 5, -1, 3.
No shot. Wraith is
Yeah.
11 speed. Look it up.
What?
I'm calling bad notes.
13, 5,
Bad
-1,
notes.
3.
We're
Look
looking it up.
it up. Look it
Look
up.
it. 11, 5, -1, 3.
What?
Boom. Petition granted for half a point because
Half
you
a
lied.
point awarded.
Because if I would have got it if I had known it was 11 speed, but 13 speed, because I know they have a 13 speed with destroyer.
They
flight.
do. Then what is it?
Let's look.
13, 5, -1, 3. That was the numbers I had in my head. Because I know Shrike is 13, 6, -2, 2.
So actually, the boss, they've changed the flight numbers on the boss. The boss is 13, 5, -1, 3.
Really?
The boss used to be 13, 5, 0. 3.
Yeah, it used to be 0.
Yes. And then you have the Groove, which is a -2. The Shrike is a -2. And then the Katana. So yeah, I guess it's just the boss. I know that the G Star, or not the G Star, the Blizzard boss is 13, 5, -1, 3.
Yeah.
But I thought the regular boss was still 0. So that's weird.
Well, you get half a point. You got that close.
Which it is. The picture of the champion boss still says 13, 5, 0, 3.
That's weird.
So that's weird. So certain plastics are more understable and they list that.
Yeah, and maybe different plastics are faster on the Wraith. Fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Well, I was gonna say, I
I
mean,
don't know.
I have a Wraith in my bag right now, and I was
Well,
like, that's
that's why I
definitely
was when you said you've never bagged one, I was like, like
yeah,
yeah.
because I know it's an 11 speed because it's definitely a thinner rim than my Zeus, which is a 12 speed, and my Nuke and my uh
Uh, it doesn't matter.
gosh,
I
my Ballista Pro, that's the one.
yeah,
Great
well,
misdirection, Ethan Jenkins.
yes.
Yes. Well done. If you like a Wraith, try Grace. Justin, I can't tell you. I've been like drooling over the Grace for a long time now, and I just haven't picked one up yet.
So my wife, that's
But
all my wife throws. She throws one disc, and it's the Grace. And we was playing at the Highlands, which is a super long course in Springfield, Tennessee, and she was like, "I am not throwing this par five." She's like, "I'm not." It would take me 6 tomahawks to get there, and I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll do a celebrity shot." And it was the first time that I got to throw her Grace. Well, let me just tell you the excitement that came over my face when she wanted me to do a celebrity shot with her disc. I was giddy. All right. So I full rip on it as hard as I possibly can, straight. And bro, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get you a new one. This one's going in my back. She was like, no, that's not fine. It literally just flew so perfectly straight, a little bit of turn, no more than like a 5 foot window, and it was just on an arrow. I was like, this is an awesome disc. And the royal plastic that Latitude's got going on is like next level. I'm not joking. The royal plastic
yeah.
is amazing.
Now, tell everybody before we get into my disc for you to guess.
Yeah.
Tell everybody about that new Trident you got because I'm thinking like a Grace in that plastic. Oh my gosh, I might want
Yeah.
that so
So
bad.
also, I made a video earlier. I unboxed the Trident, and I am gonna put it on the Instagram of the first throws, backhand and forehand. I did film that earlier. Very weird filming myself, but I did it. Um, and yeah, the I threw it. It's a 6 speed, 5 glide, negative 0.53. Um, but it's one of my all-time favorite utility discs, especially for forehand. And this Opto Ice plastic that they've came out with is oddly familiar. As most of you know from if you've listened to podcasts recently or previously, I am a huge advocate of the Castoplast Cax. It's my favorite mold, period. Um, However, Castoplast plastic is also one of my favorite plastics. It's a lot of people's favorite plastic, and it should be, rightfully so. This Opto Ice is the exact same plastic as the K1 soft plastic of the Cax. Like, it's the same color, the same translucence, whatever that word is. It I
Yeah.
put it side by side, same everything, same feel, same grip, same look. I'm like, this is weird. And we do know that Latitude just picked up Castoplast. So I'm wondering if this Opto Ice blend is not just the Castoplast K1 plastic or K1 soft plastic.
Yeah, the other thing I was thinking about too, after you had said something, because I forgot that they were calling it the Opto Ice,
Mm-hmm.
was I wonder if the Opto Ice is an attempt to use some of like the Castoplast plastics to recreate the old Frost line as well.
Yeah, that's
Because
what
the
I'm
Frost
wondering.
line was always a little bit more gummy, a little bit more flexible than
I can
than
do
the
this with the
Opto is.
Trident.
Yeah. And so Frostline wasn't like that quite that gummy, but it's definitely a lot more gummy than the Opto. So
Yeah,
I'm just telling
I
you, if a
it's
Grace ended up in that plastic, I would buy it
oh yeah, I'm gonna buy
immediately.
Grace in the Royal plastic anyways.
Yeah, me too. I am. I really am because I don't really have anything that I really like in that 11 speed area. I don't really like the Wraith that I have. It's just I have it,
Yeah,
but I really do want a Grace.
I'm gonna get a Grace and a Trust. Um, yeah. So,
All right,
yeah, we'll go on to your disc now.
I have a disc for you. Let me get a timer up.
Yep,
Sorry,
yep.
I have the baseball game on my phone right now.
You cheater.
Cheater? What?
I don't know. Sounded good. Also,
Because I have a
we
baseball
gotta
game?
figure out a way to do our giveaway for the Music City Open stuff.
We do.
It's just sitting here burning a hole on my desk. So it's
Yes.
here.
Well, I'll tell you what, Twitter is this close. This close to being 100 followers.
Hey, if you want to do a Twitter giveaway for 100 followers, I'm
This
fine with
close.
it. We can do Twitter. We can do Instagram. We've already done one on Instagram. So
Yeah.
I feel like it needs to be Facebook 200 or
Twitter 100. I
Twitter
think.
100. Yeah.
All right. I've got a timer ready. I've got a disc ready. Let me
All
know
right.
when you're ready.
I'm ready.
3, 2, 1, go.
Trilogy.
No.
Innova.
No.
Discraft.
No.
Discmania.
No.
Prodigy.
No.
Lone Star.
No.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Millennium.
No.
Infinite.
No.
Any sub brand.
Yes.
DGA.
Yes.
Distance driver.
Yes.
Bonsai.
No. Good guess though.
Rift.
No.
Sail.
Also no. 10 seconds.
Overstable.
Overstable.
Okay.
Time.
I get one more question,
Mhm.
and that question is: does it start with an S?
No.
Okay, so that is huge for me. Um, because I was thinking the Swift.
The Swift. Oh.
So the only other two that I can think of is the Hurricane and the Hypercane, and it could be either one of those, and I'm gonna go with the Hypercane.
Yes.
Boom! Let's go. I'm
Yeah.
impressed with myself.
Yeah. I think that's like the second week in a row where I've gotten like the brand on the first guess and just stumped myself by being so surprised that I couldn't formulate answers. And you struggled to get the brand at all.
And
But
then
I went with DGA because we talked so much about the bonsai, but I knew I couldn't go with the bonsai, obviously.
yeah, well, as soon as I just went there because I went ahead and knocked that one out. I took a 50-50 shot on the Hurricane or Hypercane. Hypercane. I am honestly surprised and happy that I know that many DGA discs.
Yeah, it was not bad. That was not a bad run.
Yeah.
Because I tell you what, I don't know that many DGA discs.
Yeah.
I have to like pull up the brand in front of me and be like running through the list. Like
I was struggling over here, but I was like, they say that the Hypercane is literally one of the best discs in the market.
Yeah.
I don't know, that it's kind of like the Force before the Force, supposedly. So
Well, the Hypercane came after though.
no, I meant like not the Force before the Force, but like the Force baby, like the Force.
The Force replica.
Yes. If so, how do I put it? If you had a tier level, there's a Force here, and then there's another disc that's identical except just a little bit less stability. It's the Force.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to try a Hypercane, but I mean it's a beefy.
Brody
It's a
Smith
beefy boy.
throws a lot of nukes and Hypercanes instead of Forces.
Yeah, but it must be nice to have that arm speed.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, I'm not gonna complain if I had a, you know, easy 14 speed arm. That would be fine.
Yeah, that would be great.
I
I'd
would
throw a lot of Corvettes.
I would enjoy that. Also, did you see? You probably didn't see it, but if you did, go look on your phone right now at at our Instagram and look at the picture that I put on there.
Oh, I did see it.
What is going on with my arm?
Like the way that your muscles are contorting
Yeah,
and everything.
I can see
That's
my
what it looks
bone.
like.
I can see my
That's what it
bone.
looks like.
That's weird.
It's gnarly, huh?
Yeah, why is it
It's
do?
gnarly
It's
to
crazy
see
how
your muscles engage in that type of fashion. It's nuts.
it is. My arm was like contorted and sunk in. Like I don't understand. I can't make it do that.
The amount of you just there's no other way to like really explain what's happening there. It's just the amount that you're flexing your arm at that particular moment is so dramatic that it's visible.
It's yeah. It you
And I
can.
mean, it's kind of like when you see slow motion of somebody getting punched in the face and you literally see
Oh
the
yeah,
bullet
that's
in their face.
true.
Like it's like that,
Yeah,
but for your arm.
yeah. Slow
It's
motion
so dramatic
is
when you
blew
see it
my
in that
mind
fashion.
so much that I'm like, my body can do that. I feel way more uh awesome.
I feel way cooler than I did a
Yeah,
week ago.
like way cooler now. All right. Well, uh, so we are running in about an hour and 45 minutes already on this episode.
That leaves us no more than 15 minutes to cover Jonesboro Open, I would say.
All right. With that being said, we're gonna go ahead and push off. I know we said last week that we would be building the best FPO player this week, but we're gonna push that off to next week. Forgive us. We just had so much to cover in this one, um, without taking our segments of games away. So,
Yeah.
but
I had basically said when before we started that this episode was going to be 2 hours long before getting to that segment, and Ethan looked at me and was like, "You think so?" And I was like, "100%. I guarantee you, we have so much we're going to ramble about.
yeah,
There's no way.
we definitely did
More
do some.
broken promises. Sorry, Justin."
I'm so sorry. Look, we will do it right now. I don't have to go to bed. I will do it.
I do have to go to bed. I'm sorry, Justin.
I wake up earlier. Fine.
Yeah, but I'm not feeling in tip top shape, and I'm all alone tomorrow, which means I need to get there early.
All alone. All
Oh,
right. Well, for Jonesboro,
waiting.
good thing Discord cut you out, Mr. Copyright. I see. I could sing any song because I'm not gonna get close. You can actually sing, so there's a difference. Like we will get copyrighted.
We're not gonna get. I mean, come
They're
on.
gonna
That's
be
like.
like Chicken Scratch CD, check mark, copyright claim. Can't do it anymore.
Moving on.
Hey,
Yeah.
Justin.
So
Also, you're right. I bag a trace from Streamline, and that thing is a workhorse for me. I love it, forehand and backhand. It is very good. It actually is a lot like a Grace, to be honest.
I can't believe like my workhorse the last month or so has been my felon, and I honestly can't believe it.
Yeah.
It's like that fusion ice felon that
It's
I got
broken good
from
for you, huh?
Macy. It's broken really nice, but I still get like trusty fade out of it when I want it.
Hmm.
I had one throw where I kind of overturned it this last week, but like it was just it's become a workhorse, and it's really weird because the more that I throw it, the more I realize that I've got my high speed discs really well set in my bag, but I really need to focus on that like 9, 10, 11 speed a little bit
Right.
more. Like I'm so lacking in that
I've
area
kind
that
of
I
been
just
along that way too.
because I've been in this weird spot lately on a lot of these courses because I've added so much distance in the last 6 months to my throw that I can't throw my Zeus or Ballista, and I have to really, really, really pump, the felon to get to a lot of these holes. And I just need to find something in that like 11 speed. And I just don't like the rate that I have. It's just not doing it. So that's part of why I've really been looking at the Grace lately too. But I need to find something that's just a little bit lower speed than my Zeus to get me out there where I'm not trying to soft my Zeus, because I don't know what it is when I soft my Zeus or Ballista to try to tone down the distance. I can't throw it.
Right. And Justin, he says get a Sampo or a Sapphire. A Sapphire is already in my bag. It is my max distance hyzer flip disc, along with my Pro Starfire. Yep, yep, yep.
Yeah, I wouldn't even tell you what my max distance disc is because I have 3 or 4 of them, and it just depends on the line I need. If
Yeah,
it's wide open, I'm gonna throw my Zeus because I can flip it up to turn and still get a trusty fade, and it has better glide than like my Ballista or some of my other discs. But if I really, really have room to work with, I've started to work on big Simon Annies with the Ballista, and that's been a lot of fun to start learning how to do
right.
because I finally got my arm speed up enough to where it's not just like it gets up there and then it just kind of
Stalls out, yeah.
yeah.
You can actually put enough spin on it to make it glide like it's supposed to.
Yeah, so I can actually get it to push forward and right and then stall forward and then finish.
Yeah,
So it's been really cool to start learning how to do
that's
that.
groundbreaking territory right there. Um,
That means in bigger open courses, I can start testing 500 feet.
yep. Testing, testing. Bueller,
Testing, testing.
Bueller. All right, so
Wheeler.
Jonesboro, Arkansas, right?
Yes, sir. Jonesboro Open by Play It Again Sports. It's going to be in Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
pretty full field out there. A lot of the big names that we're normally going to be expecting. 115 players on the MPO side registered. All the usual suspects. Um, how's bragging camp going? Listen, my bragging camp has taken a huge hit this last week after my performance in my tournament. Like, I can't even explain to you, but we won't go over that right now. cannot cannot even tell you. But I have fun. I'm having fun learning new shots that I've never been able to try before, so that's cool. Are they shots I trust in a tournament? No, absolutely not.
No.
Just because I can get a disc out to 500 feet doesn't mean it's a shot I'm going to use in a tournament. Okay, it's what I would play in a tournament versus what I can do physically. Two completely separate worlds. Back to the topic at hand.
Jonesboro.
Um, yeah. Well,
I
who do you
don't
think's gonna
remember this
win?
course. I don't.
Oh, for what?
I just don't remember this course.
Oh, listen, Jonesboro's. I mean, think of Mill Ridge, if you will. It's just a lot of like openness, but
Some
you
technical
have to
shots.
choose. You have to choose your lines. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, I mean, we've seen Andrew Marweed rip this course up a couple of times. All pretty much all the big names have ripped this course up at least one round or another. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yep.
But um, yeah, it's
I
gonna be
mean,
open with particular lines.
I am gonna pick my top three, and I'm gonna do the same. Uh, yeah. So I picked Chris for Champions Cup, which that paid off. I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick Calvin this week. I haven't picked him first yet, and he's always been in my top three, but I haven't picked him first yet, and I'm gonna pick him first because I don't know the course that well, and I need Calvin to win. And then I got Ricky second, Chris third,
Okay.
and my dark horse pick is Brody Smith.
Brody Smith can definitely do some work out there. I'm not going to disagree with that
He'll be
at
out there
all.
a little extra time too
Um,
because of the whole skins match.
yes. So I'm a little bit salty about your pick
Okay.
because I want to pick Calvin again, but now I feel like I can't. I mean, anybody who can throw low line drives like Calvin is going to fare well at this course. In terms of the rest of my top three, I'm going to pick him for my top three, but I'm not going to pick him to win just because you did. Uh, I think Ricky's going to want some vengeance. And you know what? Eagle McMahon looked very good the last couple of rounds. Um, I don't know if his arm's up to throwing a lot of the distance that you're going to see at Jonesboro compared to WR Jackson comparatively, but I'm gonna pick him up for the top 3, and I'm gonna say Ricky wins.
Okay,
Um,
I like that.
as for a dark horse, I'm gonna go with Chandler Fry, the Chanimal.
The Chanimal.
Man, I
When the
tweeted about
Chanimal
him
is
a couple of
on,
times.
man, I know I seen that.
When the Chanimal is on, the Chanimal is scary,
Yes.
and he has looked very good this year. Outside of some glaring issues, like every player that is in a dark horse situation should have.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he's on, he's scary good, and I'm gonna pick him for a dark horse.
I'm with it. It's crazy to think that Chandler Fry's a dark horse, but he is. He really is. But he's just a common name. I feel like a lot of people know him because of his disgusting putting style. Like it's awesome. His
It's
putts,
scary.
his putter is
This is
soaking wet. Always,
soaking.
he's splashing it down from 3 city. You know what I mean? It's just wild. But
It's absolutely wildin'.
hey, could you imagine? All right, so get this. Another random tangent. Woo!
We
Go
did
me.
it. We're doing it.
We're doing the podcast thing. All right, so imagine if we played around. This could be a video for us. Nobody else is gonna watch this and take this from us, so don't worry.
Oh, good.
Yeah. What if we did outside of it? The drive does not really matter so much as position placement does. Outside of circle 2, if you throw it in, is 3 points. Outside of circle 1, between circle 2, 33 to 66 feet, is 2 points. And anything inside circle 1 is 1 point. And you do the first to 21.
Ooh, a little 21 game.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, and that almost gets you thinking because it makes you think about actually trying to get to the edge of circle 2 as
Exactly.
opposed to trying to get it into the
Because it
basket.
does not
under the
matter how
basket.
many attempts it takes. So I'm going to be beelining from circle 2. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if it goes past it, oh well.
Bro, I'll tell you what, my Berg's never going to see so much work as it will in that video.
Oh, see, I'm going to have to pick up a Berg. Oh, God.
Something I can throw full force at the basket, but hope that it still is going to,
Yeah,
not
just,
put me 120 feet past
yeah,
the basket when I
Gonna
full
put you
backhand it right at the
69 feet. Noise. Yeah.
noise. Noise.
Noise. But yeah, so would that not be a pretty cool video? I ain't seen
I
nothing
think
else
that'd be
like
a good
that.
time.
All right. That's a good idea. I'm patting myself on the back for that one. All right. We already did our Jonesboro picks for MPO. Now we need to do the FPO picks.
Some FPO.
I went first on MPO. You go first. You take it down.
All right. Top 3. Paige Pierce, Katrina Allen, Haley King.
Okay.
You know, Haley King looked a lot better than I really expected her to this weekend. She kind of fell apart a little bit, but the woods will do that to you. It's just
Yeah.
kind of one of those things. But I think I'm gonna go with a little bit of a dark horse in terms of picking somebody to win
Yeah.
and go with Haley King. Now, the other thing is I don't want to count Macy Veladiaz out. I'm not going to put her in her top 3, but I'm just going to tell you guys in terms of somebody who I couldn't pick on a dark horse situation to keep an eye on this weekend, it's going to be Macy because she's performed well at Jonesboro before. And I think she could do some good things this weekend. For my actual dark horse pick, though, I'm going to go with Holland Handley.
That was okay. That was my dark horse pick. Thank you.
You stole Vinny from me, I stole Holland from you.
Not fair.
My devious plan.
Not a fan of you right now. All right, so my FPO predictions are Kristen in first, Katrina in second, Macy in third.
Right.
I'm not putting Paige in my top 3 right now. And then my dark horse is gonna be Rebecca Cox.
Soft.
I think that's soft. I mean, there's really not.
I don't know. I mean, based on her performance the last 3 tournaments or so, I guess no.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well,
It's still
fine
gonna
then. I
play
will
as
change it. I'm going Raven Klein then.
all right.
So it's gonna be Raven Klein versus Holland Hanley.
Raven Klein versus Holland Hanley, the dark horse matchup
of the century.
Dun dun dun.
.com.
.com. Am I pissing you off? .com.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good field out there. It should be really exciting to see. Definitely keep an eye on Kona this weekend too. I still feel like she's putting some things together, but I've seen a lot of improvement from week to week
Yeah.
the last, 2 or 3 tournaments in a row, and that's good to see. So if she can start figuring out her putt, and one of the things, part of the reason I really want you to keep an eye on Macy as well is really her biggest downfall at MCO was the fact that she putted from every bad position you could imagine possible.
Yep.
Her circle 1 putting percentage was terrible, but she was also in circle 1 in nearly unputtable positions all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, I know it. Just
And
unfortunate.
I know that's one of the things, like at Jonesboro, there's a few spots that are like that, but I think it plays a little more open than Millridge does overall. There are some tougher greens in terms of like the slopes
Mhm.
than MCO, if I remember correctly. I think pretty sure Jonesboro was the site of that triple rollaway that Macy had, if you remember.
It was also her first appearance on a lead card, though.
Right.
I do remember that's the reason that I picked Macy because of she said that she was most looking forward to Jonesboro. So
Yeah. So, but I can't pick her as a dark horse. I would pick her as a dark horse to win the tournament, but she's definitely not a dark
she's
horse for
not
a
a
top
dark
3
horse,
finish
yeah.
at all in
No.
any way, shape, or form. But yeah, Haley King is definitely a dark horse to win. So this is just one of those things. One of them things.
Yeah.
But she's won it before, so
Yeah, not dark horse.
But
All right. Well,
considering how long she's been back,
2 hours and 2 minutes of the Tennessee Twos Disc Golf Podcast. Right
in
now,
the books.
in the books. Yeah.
I lied. She hasn't won Jonesboro before. I was thinking of another tournament for
How
Haley
dare.
King. But we'll see. We'll see how this one plays out.
Yeah.
It'll be a good tournament to watch. It's a really quick turnaround to go from the major to this to another elite series right away.
Yeah.
Especially after, kind of having a little bit softer fields in 2 straight silver series.
Yep.
So
Absolutely. But I believe that's all we got for you. Anything else? We hit our 2-hour mark. You were right. We do appreciate everybody coming in. We had a really active chat tonight. Super appreciative of that. Thank you guys so much for being interactive. And for all the likes and shares that helps us grow. Anything that you do to help grow the podcast, we're super thankful for. All of the listeners, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, huge shout out to Norway. Norway has been eating more percentage of the U.S. away from us. So originally, U.S. was 90% of our listeners, and we had like 17 different countries. And Norway is done up to 16% of our listeners now, along with all of the other countries. So huge shout out to Norway. Keep on killing it, and we will keep on trying. But thank you guys, and we hope that everyone has a great night tonight, great day tomorrow. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you guys next Tuesday night. Laters.
peace.